I'm not asking for that fight. They want to make that fight because it's a payday, obviously. But I don't want that fight. I think Teofimo deserves more than me.
It's a great fight. People want to see it, then we'll do it. You know, I don't say no to any fight. You know, as long as it's eye catching and eye candy to all of you that are watching right now. That's what really matters, you know. So, however, my main focus is truthfully is Crawford, and I know
Teofimo Lopez has come forward to say that he wants to fight Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis, but while this was going on, Canelo Alvarez was having an affair with his Excellency Turkey Alalshik. This put Crawford's future plans in danger, as Alalshik recently said he didn't want to set up a fight between Canelo and Crawford because Canelo wanted $15 million, which was ridiculous. I decided to disregard the Canelo fight as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing on the US market with bigger fights, especially for the legend. Later, Turkey explained his earlier unexpected choice. He said that they are currently focusing on making fights that are both profitable and exciting, which is not something in which Canelo seems to be very interested. He wrote, "I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid, so I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world and has." On his way to making easy Chandler fights, Canelo didn't waste any time responding to Turkey's comment, which came out after his angry press conference and fight with Eder Bautista, which almost led to a fight. Canelo says he wasn't excited about this fight at all because he and Crawford are different weights. He respects Crawford as a fighter, but he doesn't see him as a tough opponent, especially after how he fought Madrimov recently.
He's a great fighter, and I don't want to talk about that. He's a great fighter, and I have nothing to...
Canelo seemed upset about how he was approached and said he might have taken the deal, but only on his own terms, since he doesn't like the way the Saudis do business, hence all the trouble with Crawford. Canelo thinks that the best case scenario for Crawford is to fight Teofimo Lopez, as he is not only the finest fighter at 40, but also because he deserves it.
Crawford needs to fight Teofimo first, and then we'll see, right? At the end of the day, like I said before, I'm not asking for that fight. They want to make that fight because it's a payday, obviously. But I don't want that fight. I think Teofimo deserves more.
It needs to be Crawford fights Teofimo first, and then we'll see. Right at the end of the day, like I said before, I am not asking for that fight. Hey, they want to make that fight because it's a payday, obviously. But I don't want that fight. I think Teofimo deserves more than that. With the attention now shifted towards Teofimo after Canelo's remarks, an old debate has kicked off about who might win if it was ever to take place between Lopez and Bud Crawford. In retrospective, Teofimo's incessant demands to have a fight with big names like Bud Crawford, Gervonta Davis, and Jaron Ennis, it looks as if he might have a chance to finally get the specific fights he has been yearning for.
back to do because I know as long as I keep facing the fighters, calling out champions like Terrence Crawford, that people are like, this man's crazy. Well, yeah, I'm crazy. I mean, I'm crazy to be great. When was that a problem? You know, and I mentioned that Roberto Duran fought all four kings or three kings and was the guy that everyone respects highly. Muhammad Ali faced Joe Frazier and so many other great champions that, you know, and got dropped in front of the world, in front of him.
After witnessing the fight between Crawford and Madrimov, Teofimo stated how it was evident throughout the match that Terrence's age might be catching up to him, as a once ferocious boxer was not in the ring during the fight. Expressing his agitation about this, Teofimo went on to state that he would like to get an opportunity with Crawford promptly, as he could see his golden chance slipping away due to Terrence getting older. He stated the age is catching up to Crawford, and I would love to get Crawford now before it catches up to him later on. It's already there, and all I can say now is let's see what he does next. I think he should fight the guy that's coming up next, who is me, Teofimo, also waiting on the option of fighting Jaron Ennis, as he is one of the most famous fighters in the welterweight division, and as an IBF world title holder, he might provide the big fight that Teofimo has been coveting since his comeback earlier this year. He stated, I have nothing but respect for Boots, as we've known each other for a long time now. It's a great fight, and if the people want to see it, then we'll do it. He further added, I don't say no to any fight as long as it's eye-catching, and I can deliver to all of you that are watching. However, despite all such possibilities offered to Teofimo, he still looks at and about fighting Crawford at any chance that he might get either this year or later on, stating to be a huge stepping stone in his pursuit of greatness. Teofimo said, however, my main focus is truthfully on Crawford, and I know it is for him too, so we'll see what happens down the line and see what happened for us this whole year and for the next year to come. Meanwhile, despite Teofimo's desire to face Crawford, now backed up by the comments made by Canelo, it appears as if the stance of Crawford and his team is still cynical in this regard, as recently after Terrence's, when his trainer and avid supporter Brian Bomac McIntyre exploded at Teofimo on his delusion of orchestrating a fight Between him and Bud not holding back, Brian Bomac McIntyre stated how this proposition is not even reasonable, as Teofimo brings nothing of value to the table that might ignite an interest in Crawford. He also noted that even if this was not the case, Teofimo is still not anywhere near worthy to fight with Crawford because he has lost the luster that he once possessed.
He's actually adamant in calling out Terrence Crawford, saying that that's his match.
He don't bring to the table neither. Trash. He trash. He used to be good, but now he trash. You heard it first. I'll put it out there. He trash. You trash. You straight trash.
Adelaide Depot, a respected boxing expert and commentator, analyzed the whole situation and made it clear to his viewers that Canelo versus Crawford might not come to fruition. He first noticed that Crawford's performance against Israel Madrimov, while effective, fell short of the exceptional display needed to build excitement for a potential jump to 68 pounds. According to Depot, a standout performance was crucial to generating major buzz for the fight, but Crawford's showing did not meet those expectations. He praised Israel for his effort, and he didn't put anything on his shoulder, but he expressed that many fans were expecting more from Terrence.
Reasons, maybe. Number one, I think Crawford needed to look exceptional against Madrimov, so we know that, okay, he's now good at 154. He can maybe take that double jump to 168. Although he looked good, he didn't look exceptional. And that's no slight on Crawford. Madrimov's a very good fighter, but I felt like we needed to see something a bit special for us to get really excited.
I noticed you just sent the letter V. Did you mean to paste more transcript text for me to rewrite? If so, please go ahead and paste it, and I will rewrite it for you in a single paragraph with the same length and style.
Two, maybe Canelo's demands are just too big. I think Turkey said that he sent an offer to Canelo. I think Canelo's rejected it, and I think I saw an interview, or at least read something about Canelo wanting, I think, over 100 million.
Now, this fight is all about money. Only a big paycheck can make this happen, which is not being offered by Lauschik. Jim Lampley, a renowned boxing commentator, talked about how this is a great chance for not only Canelo but Crawford to make a lot of money. He highlighted that Crawford, known as a sports pound-for-pound top fighter, contrasts with Canelo, who leads in earnings. Lampley pointed out that while fighters strive to be number one pound for pound, the substantial financial incentives given are a crucial factor, especially for someone like Crawford, who is 36 and facing a limited career window. Lampley said Crawford is a pound-for-pound number one fighter in the sport. Canelo is a dollar-for-dollar number one fighter in the sport. What do you think fighters dream of going to bed at night as their careers continue to progress? Do they dream of being number one pound for pound? Or when you've got the kind of money that's being thrown around by these people, there's only a certain amount of time left. He stated that Crawford at 36 has a finite window to capitalize on significant earnings. To achieve such financial success, Crawford would need to face Canelo, who is a top earner in the sport. Lampley emphasized that this fight represents a crucial chance for Crawford to secure a substantial payday before his career window closes. He added Crawford is 36 and doesn't have a big window within which to operate toward being number one for dollar and tasting at least one or two of these paychecks. Crawford can only get to that money through one vehicle, which is to fight Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo is number one dollar for dollar and Crawford is number one pound for pound. Now at the time, if we say that the only thing that is motivating Canelo to make all of his decisions is money, Canelo Alvarez is switched from Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing to Premier Boxing Champions. PBC underscores the financial motivations behind his career choices. His move to PBC, led by O. Heyman, secured Canelo a lucrative 3-fight deal worth over $100 million, showing his prioritization of substantial earnings. This shift demonstrated how major financial incentives can drive changes in fighters' promotional relationships, with Canelo Alvarez now set to fight Edgar Berlanga instead of the expected matchup against David Benavidez. Speculation around the fight has increased. About with Benavidez has been eagerly awaited, but financial disagreements have stalled at Canelo's. Substantial cash demands have been a key factor leading to delays and a shift in opponents. Canelo Alvarez addressed the reasons behind his substantial financial demand for a possible fight with David Benavidez. He acknowledged the risks involved, noting Benavidez's skill and physical advantage, as he would enter the ring significantly heavier. Despite these difficulties, Canelo voiced confidence in his ability to win, provided the financial terms were met. Canelo Alvarez said, obviously he is a great fighter, and plus he brings to the ring on fight night 25 pounds more than me. But I don't care about that. If the money is right, I can beat that guy tomorrow. The right money for Canelo is around $250 million. In a recent podcast, he stated that only this amount of money can make him stand against Benavidez. Even after the negotiations, he would not be willing to come below $200 million by any means.
Someone's willing to put up the $250 million.
I mean,
would you negotiate down?
no less than 200.
No less than 200.
Ooh.
All right, let's get $200. Hey, y'all, there's enough people in the room. Let's get the money.
Supposedly triggered by these insensitive remarks issued by Terrence and his team regarding his son Teofimo Lopez Sr. stated that his son is the best fighter at 40 at this moment, and for Brian Bomac McIntyre to say things like this is utter mockery for the plain reason that they want to go against his son. Lopez even issued a lenient warning to Crawford stating that they are ready to fight him at any time, as Teofimo has proved time and time again that he is a proficient and agile fighter who can also move up to either 47 or 50 or 54 to fight with Bud, who is allegedly the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He stated, "We are moving up to 47 to try to fight this guy, and if he doesn't want to fight us at 47, we will go and do it at a catch weight. We could do it at 50 or 54 even if he wants." So many people were not roused by Teofimo's latest performance against Steve Claggett Lopez. Senior emphasized that this perspective is hypocritical, as in the past his son was able to conquer, and Josh Taylor, who at that time was a force to be reckoned with, Lopez Sr. added, "People don't understand. My son is an expert. He reads you. He knows what movement you are going to make every time you make the movements. We beat Josh Taylor so easily that nobody in the world could do it." However, recalling the fight between Teofimo and Josh Taylor last year, it might not be as illustrious as Lopez Sr. makes it out to be, as though Teofimo won the battle with a unanimous decision. The performance that was displayed is not adequate to challenge an undisputed world champion such as Crawford, despite his increasing age, talking about Teofimo pursuing after guys that no one wants to face. Chris Algieri, a former boxer and welterweight world champion, stated that regardless of people discrediting Teofimo due to his focused behavior, he is still a guy who does not shy away from meeting fighters who are bigger and tougher than him, despite being at a clear disadvantage against them.
A lot of things that do not. So yes, he is one of those guys who fights the difficult fights. He goes after the guys, like you said, Champ, Paulie, that, you know, he's sought after these big fights. He also fights a lot of these tough guys that people don't want to fight. The Sandor Martins of the world, the Jermaine Ortizes of the world. Those are tough outs, and you don't get a lot for beating them. And then when you get...
On the other hand, Chris pointed out the insincerity that has been displayed by Teofimo for a very long time about everyone allegedly disregarding him based on his ceaseless demand to only fight guys like Terrence Crawford when he is aware of other competitors in his weight class he can tussle with for the meantime.
Matchups, when you're starting to chase dragons and gorillas, like I always say, like the Terrence Crawfords of the world, lions and tigers and bears. Yeah, lions, tigers, bears, dragons. You start chasing these kinds of fights, it turns the fans off because you have a ton of tigers that you can actually fight all around you.
Recapitulating the same points that were made by Brian Bomac McIntyre earlier on, Chris Algieri pointed out how Terrence is not fascinated by the idea of fighting Teofimo at all, as this is not worth his time or caliber. So according to Chris, the best strategy that Teofimo could employ is to stay in his weight class and fight guys who are compatible with him rather than go after a fighter who is many weight classes above him. Chris said Crawford never brings up Teofimo because it's not a real fight, and it's not a choice on the table, so I think he needs to focus more on the guys that are right around him. He added there's a lot of tough guys around him, and I don't see how Teofimo is going to be jumping up 3 weight classes to fight Terrence, where has it right now Paulai Malignaggi, who appeared on the very same show, as Chris countered his point in Teofimo's support, stating that this move of Teofimo to strive for fight against big fighters like Terrence Crawford might not be such a deplorable idea, as this will give him a chance to finally showcase his skills and prove to the world that he is a worthy opponent as well, in spite of them ignoring his call-outs. He said he does call these guys out, but they don't want to fight him, saying how they have their own thing going on, or they have different networks. They all make reasons people don't really want to fight Teofimo Lopez, giving an example of his fight with Steve Claggett. Paulai stated that if Teofimo abandons his goals to seek out the best fighter, he might be stuck with fighters like Steve, who despite being good opponents are not very marketable or entertaining to watch your content. Paulai stated if he doesn't do it, is going to get stuck facing the Steve Claggetts of the world, who are solid but not big enough names, the way he gets the best of himself, going as one of those guys who fights at the level of their opposition, sharing the same opinion as his fellow pundit Tim Bradley, who emphasized that in any sport, particularly boxing, there is nothing wrong with a fighter striving for sizable opponents who can provide them the golden chance to step forward in their career, and that is exactly something that Teofimo seems to have in his mind. He likes challenges, man.
Challenges, man. He's a type of fighter that fights to the level of his competition. So if he fights a guy like Crawford, he's going...
Addressing the most common criticism that Teofimo receives about him only going after guys like Crawford for the attention and the profit that he will make out of it, Teofimo stated that at the end of the day, every fighter in the boxing world yearns to make a name for themselves and to leave a legacy behind. So for everyone to gather against Teofimo for doing the same is not logical. Teofimo stated he wants to fight the best guy that's going to give him the best payday at the same time, so has more about reputation, as you can also hear in his voice. Greg Hackett, who is a notable trainer, believes that the claims made from Teofimo's side about forging a legacy by fighting only guys like Terrence are hollow, as he is only squandering his time when he can just focus and fight other fighters in his own weight class, which is not a convenient option for Crawford, so he moves up to higher weight classes. Greg said it is not a serious fight because Bud doesn't have anybody to fight, but you got plenty of guys to fight like Teofimo. Stop. Greg also talked about how if this unforeseen bout ever takes place, Terrence will categorically win, as he is just a superior fighter compared to a much smaller Teofimo. Always, even after his recent fight against Madrimo, Greg stated, "You come in looking little. He is knocking you out, but it is too much for Teofimo, too much in experience, too much in size, too much in skill, too much in everything." Giving his take about the reproval that Teofimo seems to get a lot, Greg specified that the most evident reason that Teofimo has in his mind while giving all these call-out to Crawford is to capitalize on Bud's popularity, which is a controversial tactic that many fighters these days seem to opt for.
Crazy. It would seem out of this world if Teo took a fight like that and nobody saw it coming, so let me use his name. It's just like other fighters use.
Also thinking that Terrence will significantly beat Teofimo during this fight. Antonio Tava, a former heavyweight world champion, stated that he would choose Terrence to win as he is far more robust than Teofimo in every regard, and Antonio stated that though the younger fighter has remarkable attributes of his own, they do not compare to Bud's magic talk about magic.
Magic man.
I got Crawford because I see him being a bigger Teofimo.
Yeah.
He's a bigger Teofimo that can do everything.
Ooh.
You feel me?
Ooh.
Yeah, bigger Teo. Teo got all the intangibles. Power, boxing, everything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, regardless of the majority of the boxing world standing in his opposition, Teofimo remained fixated on the idea of fighting star boxers, including someone like Jaron Ennis, who he mentioned in his most recent statement. And it comes as no surprise that Jaron was able to catch Teofimo's attention, as Boots is one of the most prominent and distinguished fighters in the welterweight division with a preeminent record of 32 wins, with 29 knockouts, with a history that these two fighters seem to share. Along with their combined popularity, this bout, if ever sketched out, would not only garner a lot of attention from devoted fans, but would also settle the rumors of who is a top contender in this division, especially after clips of their alleged sparring match released recently.
Bud got a buzz right now, and it would seem crazy. It would seem out of this world if Teo took a fight like that and nobody saw it coming, so let me use his name. It's just like other fighters use.
However, Dan Raphael thinks that despite Teofimo's ongoing demand for a fight, Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford should fight with each other rather than hash things out with Teofimo, as that particular deal is not profitable for either of them at this stage in their career. Dan stated Boots Ennis is a welterweight, and if he moves up one weight division, and if there's enough money on the table for that fight, I think both sides would absolutely do it, being aware of all the inside scoop of the boxing world. Then disclosed the real reason for Turkey having a change of heart about orchestrating the big Canelo versus Crawford fight, which seemed to be Canelo's refusal to bend to his whim. According to Dan, even though this particular fight might not see the light of day, Turkey still plans on organizing big fights for Crawford, including the bout with Boots Ennis or perhaps even Teofimo Lopez, as he stated that Canelo hasn't kissed the ring, if you will, so Turkey still wants to do Crawford fights. He wants to deliver Crawford a big fight, and Canelo obviously would be a big event, but he just had a change of heart, I guess. So in the end, what do you guys think about the cancellation of the much anticipated match between Canelo and Crawford? Do you think that it was the right move by Turkey or Lalshik? Should Teofimo Lopez really be looking after a fight with Terrence Crawford? Make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comment below, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel.